whole worksheet. So just hold on that. Let me go over a couple things with you that are important. The numbers on your calculator are how I keep track of them. I haven't had a student steal one. I don't think ever, but I remember I've been doing this a long time. It's just my way of keeping track. Calculator number matches your seat number, matches the little pouch number where your phone is, okay? So if there's something missing, like you go over and you come into class and your calculator is missing, please tell me, don't take somebody else's. That way I can look back at who was number 10 the last period, because it happens all the time. Like a couple times a year, you pack up, you put it in your backpack. And I'll send your next teacher an email, hi, Mr. Young, can you ask so-and-so if they took the calculator by accident? Okay, so it's just because they're $130. We are not rich teachers and schools at all. They're like cutting back on everything. So that's just my way of keeping track of them, right? So just be mindful of that. Thank you again for the phones. I know it's annoying, but that's what we do. But along with phones, you guys should know those headphones, earbuds. You should not be listening to music and having earbuds in your ears while I'm teaching, okay, or at all. And stay seated till the bell rings. You know, it's not when you finish your work you can go switch out. It's just, I know it's annoying. It's just one of my hard, fast rules. And then one last thing is this. As we get to know each other, and again, you have 7 teachers. Everybody's got a different way of doing things in their classroom. So as we get to know each other and we go through a couple weeks together, you'll totally understand how I do things. I'm very consistent. But I just want to tell you, I don't check every homework assignment, okay? So I can only speak for how Ms. Shackton taught. I know Ms. Shackton had you guys turn in all of your homeworks like on quiz days, I think, and she checked every single one. Am I saying that right? Okay. I'm not that girl. Ain't nobody got time to check our homework assignment. So I have homework check days, and I tell you about them. I'll say, okay, guys, Friday's a homework check day. And on Friday, when you come to class, there'll be a sticky note up here, and it'll say, I'm checking A3 and A5. I'll come back to that in a minute. And those might be the only 2 I'm checking, okay? I don't check every homework assignment. We don't do homework just for grades. We do homework to learn and to practice for tests, okay? So just understand that. You don't get credit for every homework assignment. What does that mean? You didn't finish A3 and I didn't check A3? Well, you got away with it? Okay. Good for you. But remember, I'm not bogging you down with lots of work. I am not. Not. Evan, would you agree with me that I don't give a ton of homework?
At this time, will you release all 10th grade students to the auditorium?
No! Thank you. I forgot. What is this? What grade's going? I'll miss you. Are you guys good factors? I'm going to make a video, and we're doing this tomorrow, too, without me talking, so you guys we can work together tomorrow. Just take your phones, of course, put your cell phones up. Bye, 10th graders. Bye, 10th graders. Bye, sweeties. I'm sure it's going to be so informative and exciting, this assembly. Have you guys anybody else gone to it yet? No? What was it? Like tardies and blah, and what to wear and what not to wear, and the typical stuff. I won't tell anybody. If you want to stay, you can stay. Well, I mean, if you're not going, you're staying here, right? Okay, yeah. I mean, let's pretend we didn't have that conversation. Okay, and I'm recording. Of course, we have that conversation when I'm recording. Do they? No. Okay. So anyway, Evelyn, my wonderful TA, had me last year. And you can tell the truth. When I put you on the spot like that, tell the truth. I'm not looking to feed an answer to you. I do not give a lot of homework. I call everything homework because I don't know how to change my... Now I know I didn't have a lot of sophomores in this period. I usually do have more. I've had freshmen in pre-calc, AP pre-calc. Isn't that crazy? I am very, very, very respectful of your time. And that is one of the reasons I keep things very efficient in here. We're always ready to go. Like, if it's constantly like, what are we doing? Where are we? And people are talking or not putting their phone up, it takes your time away from the classwork homework. So just keep that in mind. I label all of your homework assignments A1, A2, A3, A4. That'll make total sense once we get going. Quarter 2, I start calling them B. Quarter 3, they're C. Quarter 4, D, which is all our review ones. I don't know, quarter 4, I can't remember. But anyway, and it just makes it easier when it's time to check. Instead of saying page 17, problems 5, 8, 9, and 20, it's A1. You know what I mean? So we'll get used to that, all right? And you might already have noticed that at the top of this factoring review, it says A1. This is our first homework assignment. We're going to work on it for 2 days. I am going to do the circled problems with you as notes. I'm going to teach from the circled ones, and this will make more sense in a second, and the ones that I star are going to be your homework problems. Tomorrow I will not stand up here and talk, except maybe for those sophomores if they need it. I'm going to assign more factoring problems for you guys to do, and then I'm going to just walk around and help. And then Friday's that quiz, factoring quiz, okay? So I'm going to teach you the types of factoring right now that you'll have in this class, okay? Now, you can write on this piece of paper, totally fine. You can write on a separate piece of paper, also fine. I don't care. I'm not picky about that stuff. When we get to the actual class, like the packets, the pre-calc curriculum where I hand it to you, you have tons of room to write all your work and stuff. It's very student friendly. Right now, it's a plain old-fashioned worksheet. I write really big, so I'm going to go on my own piece of paper. You figure out what makes sense to you. If you don't have paper yet, I will happily walk some over to you. Does anybody want some of my paper? Everyone's okay? Okay. All right. So I'm kind of going, this is here if you want to read it. It's just easier for us to start right off the bat from doing some problems together, okay? So again, you can write on your own paper, or you can write right on the pink worksheet. Bottom line is, you organize your notebook however you want to organize it, but you should know where everything is. So if I do check A1, whether it's this piece of paper where your stuff is, or a separate piece of paper, you know where it is. Because I'm just going to walk around and be like, where's A1? And you're just going to say, oh, here it is. And I'll go, okay, here we go. I don't care where you write it, okay? All right, so this is my first time teaching you guys, besides like the calculator stuff we did yesterday, right? I don't know you well yet, and this is review. You should have learned how to factor in Algebra 1. You continued to factor, maybe in geometry, I don't know, but definitely in Algebra 2. Factoring is a huge part of all math classes, but you're going to factor in this class. I don't want any of you to think I'm teaching down to you, because some of you are like, I've been factoring since I was a baby, and I don't need all this instruction. But I'm teaching it as if you haven't really learned it, okay? It might go a little faster than if it was the first time you see it, but just understand, because factoring is so important, I've got to catch all of you, okay? Factoring, for some reason, is just something that people struggle with. You might be able to do really hard math, but still not be able to factor, but we have to be able to factor. That's why I'm taking the time to do this and having a quiz on Friday. All right. So the first type of factoring, the first step in all factoring, and we forget about it, I forget about it, is factoring out the GCF. This has to be the first step. Every single time. If the directions say factor, 99% of the time there won't be a GCF, and then one sneaks in on you, okay? So you have to kind of train your brain to say, is there a GCF, okay? So GCF, greatest common factor. Greatest means the biggest. We are first going to look at what is the biggest number that goes into 30 and 24. Somebody tell me. 6. Are there other numbers that go into 30 and 24? Yeah, but you don't care about those. Greatest, that's what the G means, okay? So you have to find the biggest number. Okay, so we have a GCF of 6. When we have letters, we're always going to take the smaller number. Okay, we have 4 or we have 7, we're going to take the smaller number, which makes some people confused because the word greatest, they think it should be the one that's bigger. But remember the rest of GCF. Common. They have 4 in common. I mean, this guy over here has more than 4, obviously, is 7, but they don't have that in common. I can't take 7 commonly away from both of them. He has 7, but he doesn't. So you always take the smaller number of variables, okay? Now, you can go right to your answer if you're comfortable with it. Some of you might have learned that, and if you want to show this step, you can, not required. You're just dividing both of these terms by the GCF. And whatever you get goes in the parentheses. So 30 divided by 6 is 5. And we subtract our exponents. 4 minus 4 is 0, or think of it as these 4 cancel out with those 4. So it's just 5. That's it. Quick check, if you did the distributive property, 6x to the 4th times 5 should equal 30x to the 4th. Okay? And then there's a plus sign. 24 divided by 6 is 4. Subtract your exponents gives you x to the 3rd. And again, if you wanted to check it, if you multiply 6x to the 4th times 4x to the 3rd, you will get to that. And here's the other thing we have to be careful of. Sometimes we do the GCF and we're done. And we are done. This one's done. And sometimes you pull out a GCF and you still have more factoring to do, and we'll see that in a minute. It's all about knowing to look for these things, okay? So that's not a super common type of factoring we see in this class, okay? You have to be aware of it. They pop up every once in a while, but that's not what we see the most. This next one is one of 2 types of factoring we see all the time, and that is number 5, okay? So let's write number 5. And if you don't want to use n, change it. I don't care. Make it an x. Whatever you want to do. Doesn't matter. Okay? Now, this is called a quadratic trinomial. Okay? This is in the form of this. Okay? A, B, and C are numbers. And of course you have a variable squared and a variable to the power of 1, like a single variable. So A, B, and C are numbers. Okay? And when you see a factoring problem set up like this, it's a very, very specific type of factoring, and it's probably the second most common we'll see. All right? If you lined up 100 algebra or math teachers and asked them to teach this problem, you'd probably see 10 different methods, okay? So I have my method. It works for me. It's what I teach, okay? And that's what I'm going to show you. Once I show this to you, if you're like, wait, that's not how I do it, and I get the same answer, well, that's fine with me. I don't care. Listen, guys, you are high-level math students at this point. If you have a method that works for you, or you can do something like this in your head, go for it. I am not narcissistic where you have to do things my way. As long as you understand it, totally fine with me. But if you're someone that, once we get going, you may not remember, but if you're someone that has had trouble with these, maybe try my method, because that's how I'll be showing it every time and what you'll see on my keys and stuff. So I call these chart problems, okay? So when you hear me say, oh, that's a chart problem, it's one of these. It's just my word for it, just a Tracy Morse thing, okay? And so this is how I teach it. I make a little T chart, a little T, and I'm going to find something multiplied and added. And what those things are this. A times C, whatever the A times C is, I'm going to put right here, and the B value goes here. Now this seems like a lot of work and a lot of writing. You don't have to do this. I will tell you that when I factor, and I don't mean to brag, but I'm a really good factor, I don't need to make these little charts. I can do it in my head. Maybe you can too. Great. Do it in your head, okay? You guys have to be the high-level math students that you are. And you have to find those places where you can get through something quickly, and you have to be okay with saying, you know what, I'm not good at this. I need to show a little bit more work. That's a personal decision, not a decision for me to make, okay? So here we go. A times C. In this example, what is the A value? 1. If you don't see a number in front of a letter, we know that, right? So it's 1 times 30 is 30, and my B value is negative 13. Don't leave that negative off. It's rude. That negative is part of the 13. You can't separate them. Okay, whether you're doing this in your head or writing it all out, your next task is to figure out the one set of 2 numbers. There's 2 numbers that make both of these happen. There's not more than one set. It's not that Zoe finds a set and Hunter finds a set and they're both right. There's only one set of numbers that will make these both happen, okay? So there's no tricking anybody. And so you have to figure that out. Some of you can do it like that. Some of us have to pick up a calculator. Figure out what you need to do. But if I start going through my head all the different multiples of 30, like how to multiply to get, or factors of 30, like 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 5, 10, 5 times 6, I can zero in on 3 and 10. And if you are somebody that struggles with these, my advice is don't worry about signs in the beginning. Think, okay, I have to make a 30 and I have to make a 13. Forget the negative for a second. What numbers? Well, 3 and 10, of course, multiply to get 30. And I know there's 3 plus 10 is 13. Let me worry about the signs later and figure it out. Okay? I know there are many of you that just go, this one's negative, this one's positive, you've got it. That's great. I'm really helping the ones that need it. Okay? So, where are my good factors? Where are my signs going to be? Somebody raise your hand so that I can call on you. I don't want to just call on somebody. What are my signs going to be on these numbers? Wait. I'm trying to learn names. Soliana? What is it? Both negative. Yeah. Does it matter, Soliana? If I just said, no, I just want to make, I want to leave them both positive, because 3 times 10 is 30, right? That works. Let me answer my own question, sorry. Remember, it has to work in both columns, and that's where students kind of fall short, especially when one is positive and one is negative. We'll get one in a second. She said that they're both negative. Double check it. If you need to pick up your calculator, there's no shame in that game, okay? Negative 3 times negative 10 is positive 30. Negative 3 plus negative 10 is negative 13. We found that one set of numbers. It's non-negotiable. There's no other things you can use, okay? Other numbers you can use. And here's the thing. When the A value is a 1, we are happy, okay? That A is called the leading coefficient. Leading, remember line leaders in elementary school? Whoever's at the front. Leading and coefficient is the number that's in front of a letter. Leading coefficient of 1 is the best news we could get because we're ready to go right to our answer. Okay? Whatever this variable is, who cares? It's some letter. Goes to the front of both sets of parentheses. And these two numbers that you came up with in your chart, now remember, they're the same in this column as this column. It's not two different things. These are identical twins. Negative 3, negative 10, negative 3, negative 10. Those numbers come over and hang out with these ends. It doesn't matter if you put the negative 3 first or the negative 10 first. It does not matter, okay? Because this, when you have two parentheses up against each other, that's multiplication. Multiplication order doesn't matter. Y'all, 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. That's why it doesn't matter. And the reason I'm saying this is it's probably the number one question I get at the beginning of the year. Your key says n minus 10 first. I wrote n minus 3. Is that right? It's fine. Okay? The order doesn't matter. As long as the numbers have the correct signs. Okay? This is the second most common type of factoring right here. All right? Let's go to number 9. Now, I forgot to ask you on that last problem, but the first question should have been, I told you I forget too, is there a GCF? I knew there wasn't, so that's why I didn't ask. There was no GCF. But remember, you have to ask yourself that. Because you might look at this problem and like, oh, I remember this is that chart problem that she called it. I know how to do this. I'm going to do this, that, the other. But if you did that, you'd make yourself a lot of extra work. You have to check for a GCF. Is there a GCF? What would it be? 4. Yeah. So you have to factor that out first. Again, you do not have to show this step that I'm showing right here. You do not have to show that, okay? I'm just helping those that need it. Right? And now we ignore the 4 and we look at what's in here. Because remember, when we factored out the 6x to the 4th, we were done. This is not anything special. You didn't know that. You're learning it now. But this you should recognize as a quadratic trinomial. Okay? So this in the parentheses is another chart problem. Again, please, you decide if you need to make this or not. It's your business. No judgment here. If I start seeing that you're getting these all wrong and you're not showing some kind of step, then I might have a conversation with you. But if you can do it in your head, more power to you. Great. Okay? All right. So my A value is not 4. Okay? My A value is 1. 1 times negative 9 is negative 9. My B value is negative 8. Now, there's only 2 sets of factors that make a 9. 1 and 9, 3 and 3. How do I make an 8? Well, it can't be with the 3 and the 3. 3 and 3, there's no way to make an 8. But I bet I can do it with 1 and 9. Okay? So this is where you have to make a decision about your signs. And please, I'm sensing this class as good factors. I'm sensing it from watching you guys. So I hope you understand that. I recognize that, but I have to catch all of you, okay? Here's the mistake students make. Listen to me carefully. They decide which one should be negative in this column. But in this column, it doesn't matter, guys. If you make them both negative, that would make a positive 9, so we don't want that. And we can't leave it as positive and a positive, because that's not also negative 9. So the only thing left is one of them should be negative. To make a negative 9, it doesn't matter which one is negative. It doesn't matter. But guess what? It matters over here. So when you have to decide on your signs, you have to look over here, right? 1 plus negative 9 and negative 1 plus positive 9, those are 2 different answers. If you're not good with your signs, pick up your calculator. Okay? So who's negative? Yell it out. 9. Has to be the 9, okay? And now everybody's happy. And again, the leading coefficient of what we're factoring, but not the original problem, I know, but what we're factoring is a 1. That makes us happy. So our final answer, the only difference between 9 and 5 is that there's going to be a 4 hanging out in front of our 2 parentheses. That's the only difference between 5 and 9. And the variable we're working with here is an x. Okay, put that there and there. The 1 will be positive, the 9 will be negative. Does it matter which one goes where? Nope. Plus 1. As long as the 9 is negative and the 1 is positive, the order doesn't matter. Okay? Show of hands, how many of you found 5 and 9 to be pretty easy? Like that was like, you've been doing that since you were a baby? Okay. So Liana, that was easy for you, wasn't it? You didn't raise your hand. Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah. No, it has to come out. It's wrong if you left it in. So what she's saying is, remember I said at the beginning, if you missed that there was a GCF, this problem would have worked using this method by multiplying A and C, and then B would be negative 32, with humongous numbers in here, a lot of calculator work, a lot of like playing with it, which you're going to see on our next problem. It has to be that way. When you get to your final answer, this 4 would have been distributed into one of these 2 sets of parentheses. That would not be completely factored. You would have done a lot of extra work and incorrect answer because it's not finished. By taking the GCF out at the beginning, life is so much easier, okay? So that's why I'm like trying to really push it that we have to check from. And I'm going to be completely honest. We don't have a lot of problems in this class where you have a GCF. It's just part of factoring, so I'm putting it in there. You'll see when we get going with this class, you'll see a lot of problems like just basic like this and like one other we'll get to in a minute. We have 2 more examples and then I'm done. Okay, here is our next one. This is going to be the hardest. No, let me take that back. This is not difficult. Wait, is this the one I want to do? Wait, let me make sure. No, I want to do number 13. Sorry, we're going to do 13. When I'm done with this, what I like to say is you should be annoyed with the problem because it's annoying, but not because it's difficult. Okay? So looking at it, you just want to skip it, right? I do. I look at big numbers and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do all that. But we have to sometimes, right? First step is always to see if there's a GCF. You don't want to jump right in saying, oh, there's a chart problem, because this is a quadratic trinomial. That's what this is. If you do that, like what I was just talking about with Zoe, it will work, but you will spend a lot of time with your calculator. Those numbers are going to be huge. So always look for a GCF. Anybody find it? It is 3, okay? So I'm going to have that 3 on the outside. Again, that step is negotiable. I 100%, me, your math teacher, had to pick up my calculator to get these numbers. Okay, so I just divided 216 by, I guess I could have done that in my head now that I look at it, but I did it on my calculator, so I'm just writing it down right there. All right, now ignore the 3 for the moment, and let's deal with what's in the parentheses, because this is still a chart problem. If you don't need to do this, don't. Okay, but notice what's different in this problem, my darlings, is that the A value is not 1 anymore, right? It's a 2. So it's 2 times 72. I picked up my calculator, I put it in my calculator, and I got 144. That's big. B value is negative 25. This is oftentimes, especially at the Algebra 2 level, we don't get a lot of really big numbers in this class. This class is not about the algebra of it, it's applying algebra to calculus. So we don't really have to do a lot of craziness like this, but let's talk about it. Your math teacher, I have to pick up my I don't know all the factors of 144 off the top of my head. 9, I didn't need a calculator. 144 and 25, of course I did. Okay? And so for time's sake, just understand, I sat there and I played with it, and I played with it. Well, let me just say, did anybody else find the 2 numbers? Yes, Zoe? Nope. Nope. Not 9 and 8. 9 and...
I do guessing check, so I don't...
Okay, you're using a different method. Just make sure you get the same answer at the end. And yeah, totally fine. Other... Awesome. Thank you. Logan, right? Oh, okay. You're Michael. Yes. Thank you. Sorry. I will learn. Okay. So there's the numbers. Got to come up with the signs. Remember, we decide signs in this column to make a negative. We make them both negative. Happy here. Make sure you're happy here. We are. Okay. So far, this is pretty much just like number 9 and number 5. What's different, the annoying part of this problem, is that we have a leading coefficient that's not a 1. Remember I said when that's a 1, happy times? If it's something other than 1, a little bit of work, okay? Here's the work. I teach it the same way Ms. Shackton did, so if you learned this with Ms. Shackton, that's fine. If you have another way of doing it, there's so many different ways, and you remember it and it works for you, keep doing it, okay? You just heard my conversation with Zoe. She uses guess and check. Fine. Love it. Great. Okay? Here's how I do it. Again, ignoring the 3 for a minute. I'm going to bring down the outside 2. Whatever the outside 2 terms are, they come straight on down. Do you have to draw the arrows? You do not. Okay? I'm not about showing everything if you don't need to. All right, and then you split the middle. You split the middle into the 2 numbers that we just found over here. It doesn't matter what order, but you do have to remember that each of them get a variable. Remember, or let me explain it. Oh, sorry guys, so sorry. Look, I made this mistake. I forgot to put that N there. There's an N there. I apologize. If you copied me, there was still an N there. I apologize. We are making those 2 in the middle equal negative 25, not N. So you have to put the N on there, okay? Anybody remember the next step? Give me a word that tells me what I do with the next step. Parentheses, yes. Annoying, we gotta do it, okay? You put parentheses around the front 2 and parentheses around the back 2. And then you do this GCF business. The same GCF stuff that we did up here. What is the GCF of these 2? GCF of these 2. When we do this, what we get in the parentheses should be identical twins, okay? So sometimes your GCF is just a number. Sometimes your GCF is just a letter. Sometimes your GCF is a number and a letter. You just got to see. In this case, it's just a letter. 2 and 9 don't have a common factor, but they have an N in common. Remember, I'm just dividing these by N. So I get 2N minus 9. If you wanted to check it, you could do the distributive property, up to you. Now, remember what I said. Whatever I get in parentheses over here should be 2N minus 9 if I did it right. It has to be. So that means, and I feel pretty confident about this, that means I know that this is going to be 2N minus 9. That can help you when you have bigger numbers to know what you're going to put out here. 2 times 8 is 16. Okay, so I know there's going to be an 8 out here, but I'm getting ahead of myself. One thing you have to be aware of, guys, is that anytime the first term, when you're factoring, is negative, your GCF is going to be negative. Okay, so if that had been a positive 16N, I would have left it as positive. If it's negative, you have to make it a negative. You never leave your first term negative. So we're taking the negative away from it. And like I said, the GCF of these two, just a number, would be 8. And look, that would give me the 2n minus 9. These have to be identical twins. Where'd the negative come from? Because there's a plus here. Well, remember, if this is negative, a negative times a negative will give us a positive. So lots of little places in this problem where you could make mistakes. This is annoying, but it shouldn't be hard. Good news is we don't see these a ton throughout the school year, but we should know how to do them. SAT, whatever. All right, we're ready to write our answer. I'm almost done talking, I promise. Don't forget that GCF from 6 hours ago. It's going to go out front. Okay, that 3 from very first step. You always forget that one. Then, if you blink, you're going to miss it. So here it is. We're going to have 2 sets of parentheses. One set of parentheses, and it doesn't matter which one, is that GCF. Remember those identical twins? It doesn't matter where you put it. You can put it here or here. Okay? So I'm going to cross them out just so you can really see what's left. What's left is the n minus 8. Remember those GCFs that you factored out? That makes your other set of parentheses. And again, the order doesn't matter. Okay? Those are annoying. I'm only giving you one to do on your own today. But you need to practice them. Okay, the worst is over, my darlings. The last problem I'm going to do with you is number 17. This is the most popular type of factor you will see in this class, which is good news because it's the easiest type of factoring. It's fast. There's no work to show. The minute you recognize it, you go, there's the answer. You can say it that quickly. Like literally 3 seconds, you can do your answer, okay? First, see if there's a GCF. No, there's not. But what I want you to recognize is there's only 2 terms. This is called a binomial, 2 terms, and it has a minus in between. This is called the difference of 2 squares. Super common. See them all the time. The minute you go, yay, difference of 2 squares, that's the easy type. We go right to our answer, which is 2 parentheses and 2 different signs, a plus and a minus. Can you put the minus first because you like minuses better? Sure, doesn't matter. As long as one's a plus and one's a minus. Everything else is square roots. The square root of 16x squared, the square root of that first term is 4x. Goes in the front. Okay, square root of 16 is 4, and the way you do a square root of a variable is you just cut it in half. So if that was x to the 4th, it'd be x squared and x squared. If this was x to the 10th, it'd be x to the 5th, x to the 5th, and so on. And then in the back of those sets of parentheses is the square root of 1. What's the square root of 1? Done. That's the answer. We like those. Those are fast. Most common type, too. Okay? So what your homework class, remember I call everything homework, don't get mad at me. You're going to do this. You're doing number 7. What was it? Number 7, number 15, number 19. I'm giving you 3 problems. Tomorrow I will be assigning problems from the even column, and I won't have to teach again. I can sit with people one-on-one if you need help with any of them. You can work together. And so let me just tell you, you're going to start working on these right now. You can work with somebody, totally fine. I want to hear you guys talking about math. I will come around and help. I also will always put the key up. I'm a key girl. I give you everything. I put everything on Canvas. I put everything up here for you to work. Guys, do I have students that just copy every single answer down? Sure do. So they get perfect scores on their homework and stuff. Then they don't do well on tests. So guys, be mature math students. Take my keys as what they are to check your answers, okay? And if you're not getting something right, tell me. I will come help you. So 7, 15. Let me cover some of this up so it doesn't look so intimidating. So 7, I'll highlight them. What'd I say, 7? 15. That's all I'm asking you to do, okay? I did not show the work on number 15. You should show it. It's just like the one we did above it. Well, I should see, like you did.
I don't know, it's just how my math teacher taught it.
That's probably so much easier. I'm 100 years old and can't learn anything new. So, yes. And especially, like, I get to know you guys, and once I realize, like, I'll have students that are advanced, and I know they don't have to, so I'm okay with that and stuff. And then I know really having to get that into but yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And especially because we'll have a quiz on Friday. I'm sure you'll get them right. That shows me also that you know what you're doing, because you'll be doing that method and blah, blah, blah. What am I doing? What am I doing?